Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to Reporters here on France 24. In this edition, we throw light on the famine that's already claiming lives, but few people seem to have heard about it. More than 1 million people in Madagascar are facing famine. The UN says the south of the island is suffering the worst drought for 4 decades. Yet the Malagasy government is refusing to declare an emergency. Our reporter Gaëlle Borgia has been to see firsthand the situation. Gaëlle, men, women, children, people basically starving and dying. Filming in these kind of circumstances must have been incredibly difficult for you.
Indeed, the conditions were a bit difficult, first of all, because it's a remote area, which is very difficult to have access to. We could not drive at night, for example, because of insecurity. The World Food Programme and the local authorities warned us to be very, very careful. Some people advised us not to go there because officially it's a red zone where there are regularly armed attacks.
Gaëlle, thank you very much indeed. Let's take a look then at Gaëlle Borgia's report.
Not many people take this road. This region in the far south of Madagascar is terrorized by the Drought, armed bandits who loot nearby villages. We stop at this hamlet, which looks half abandoned. No more livestock here. The Drought stole all the animals some time ago. 50-year-old Mbehuraza invites us into the hut where she lives with her sister-in-law.
She won't stop.
Her 2-year-old granddaughter is malnourished and can't walk. To calm her down, Mbehuraza has just one solution.
You mustn't take too many, put the rest over there. She's calming down now because she's eating the crickets. She cries out of hunger.
A severe drought has destroyed almost all the crops in southern Madagascar.
It's now nearly 2 years since we had a harvest. All we can do is search for edible roots. But fortunately, since it rained, the crickets hatched, and that has saved us. If it weren't for the crickets, we'd all be dead.
The food aid they received a month ago has run out, so it's the same meal every day until the next delivery.
Put some water in or it'll burn. It mustn't be too salty.
Madagascar's worst famine in a decade is affecting 1.5 million people. Caused by a chronic drought a century old, it's even got a name in the southern Malagasy dialect, kere, or hunger. Last October, photographs of skeletal-looking children were published on social media and sent shock waves around the country. The president visited the afflicted region, but the situation has only got worse since then. Neither the state nor NGOs have been able to fight malnutrition effectively. And though there are no official statistics, the death toll is rising. Every day seems the same for these villagers, left to fend for themselves, hungry and in constant fear of Drought attacks.
The Drought came here to take our cows. They came from the north. They whistled and then started shooting, and we ran to the woods. They attacked again and again. They took the cows, then they came for the goats and the cooking pots. So we left the village and slept in the forest. Once we've cooked up the crickets, we go back into the woods because we're afraid.
The United Nations World Food Programme has been alerted and is delivering food aid. Here, instead of crickets, the children can eat plumpidos, a soya-based dietary supplement designed to fight malnutrition.
If the wrist diameter falls in the yellow part of the strip, it's moderately severe malnutrition. But if it's red, the child needs to go to hospital.
The security situation is severely hampering the programme's attempt to deal with this nutritional emergency. The main food distribution centre is 20 kilometers from here, and the area is full of Drought.
Villagers trying to bring food aid packets find their route blocked by the Dahalos who rob them, and they come home empty-handed. They can't bring food home to the village, so they prefer to eat the grain over there rather than trying to bring it here. If the Dahalos don't rob them on their way back, if they don't see them, they come and rob them right in their homes.
So these are the crickets that you eat. With the drought plus the bandits, in the end we're facing two very complicated situations. The Dahalo take cassava that aren't even ripe yet. They rip them out of the fields. I don't know what will happen to the people here. Most of the locals have left. Insecurity has emptied the village.
A hot meal is provided for the weakest. Swift broth made of corn flour and legumes, mixed with water. Plastic buckets replace the stolen pots.
They had better eat quick before the Dahalo come to rob them.
What little has been obtained today may easily be stolen tomorrow, a vicious circle of dire poverty. Just after serving the broth, the team from the World Food Programme visit a nearby village where 3 children are in a critical condition. They're immediately brought to this basic local health center. This 2-year-old needs to be transferred urgently to the nutrition center at the hospital. She's in real danger of dying, but the center is more than 2 hours' drive away and there's only 1 ambulance.
Would it be possible to send an ambulance for 3 children who are in a very critical condition here?
Why didn't you come here sooner?
Because there were Dahalos at my place. We were scared and ran into the woods. One of my children died. We buried him on Friday, and now I've come with this one.
What's happening? Will she die if the ambulance doesn't come?
I think that the ambulance will come. They will send the ambulance, if she can still manage the journey.
The seasoned aid worker, Theodore, says he's never seen such desperation.
If we don't send them now, it's going to be very, very bad. So we're counting on you, thank you. Faced with a situation like this, we all feel affected. I have children. The same thing could be happening to my children.
Because of the attacks, 2 health centers in the district have closed down. The state only spends 7% of its budget on healthcare, a long way off the 15% recommended by the African Union. The ambulance arrives in time. For now, little Tsapasua will live. Because of the threat from bandits, some food deliveries now need a military escort. 25 soldiers have taken up quarters in this village. 2 classrooms have been turned into barracks.
It's a bit of a mess in here. We didn't have time to tidy up.
The USAD, or Special Anti-Dahalo Unit, was set up in 2016. It is the only elite military unit in a region with 340,000 inhabitants. So village self-defense committees have been set up to raise the alarm in case of an attack.
When night falls, we have to keep working just like in the daytime. So on your way back from the market, you can't stop off to drink alcohol. We also have to tell those who are coming in from the fields and all the young people to organize the shifts for guarding the area. Is everything clear?
The soldiers' arrival means no more nights in the woods hiding from the Dahalo.
Before the USAD came here, people were deserting the village. Everyone was afraid. They broke into houses and cars, stole motorbikes. Now the soldiers are here, and we can have normal lives, farm our fields, and sleep peacefully.
But the calm is fragile. Paul knows that when the USAID soldiers leave, the villagers will again be at the mercy of the Dahalo. Apart from the USAID, there are 225 gendarmes from other units in this district, but they have not stopped the attacks, far from it. At the hospital, in the district capital of Emboissari, we meet this couple and their 9-month-old son, victims of a knife attack in their home. They didn't have any cash for the bandits. A friend, who is a policeman, is visiting. He suffered a similar attack and says the system protects the Dahalo.
There are influential people who interfere, politicians on hand to get them released from prison.
Many accuse the authorities of complicity with the Dahalo, whose supposedly repentant members sometimes even get jobs in the administration. As the situation becomes unbearable, thousands are fleeing to more hospitable regions. Climate migration has skyrocketed in just a few months. In this center, run by nuns, 3,000 people can get a bit of food every day. Their lands have become arid, their homes have been robbed, their tools stolen. Among them, 45-year-old Hauva. After walking for a week, she wound up here, following other migrants' advice.
The people who were just in front of me are now way over there, but I can't wriggle through with a child.
The center has neither enough space nor enough resources to house the migrants. Hauva has set up camp here. She built this shelter with whatever she could find. The cutlery is borrowed. She and her 8 children share 2 spoons.
Give him a spoon, please. It's his turn. There. Let me eat now. Dearie me, you think you're the only ones who need to survive? We sold our land for just 20 euros, even though it was huge. After we'd spent it all, we left. We didn't have anything to eat. That's how we ended up here. Luckily, someone helped us, other my children would have died on the way.
Hauva's daughter, Sombehahi, who's 12, hasn't abandoned her dreams.
My dream is to have a job so that I can help my mother and my father. My message to the president, for him to build us a house, for him to buy us some pots, some plates, and some spoons, and build us a house. And I would like to go to school.
Until the day she can return there, all Hauva has left is the song and the memories of her home region, the land of thorns. Back home in the Ndrui region, a series of sandstorms have been burying the fields. There is no longer enough rain for farming. As global climate change accelerates, in a weak state with rampant violent crime, Hauva's hopes of returning are slowly becoming little more than a mirage.
Well, our reporter Gaëlle Borgia is still with us. Gaëlle, thanks for that report. It's quite a stunning insight into what's happening in Madagascar right now. Since you made this report, are you aware of any signs of improvement for the people that you met?
The situation has not improved at all, and I would say it has gotten worse. I know that in some communes, the food aid hasn't arrived yet. I have this example of a commune in the deep south of Madagascar, in the Ndrui region, where 30 people, mainly children, died because the food aid arrived too late. So you have to know that this food crisis has been badly anticipated. So now the authorities have to face an emergency. And when you deal with an emergency, it's very expensive. You have to deliver tons of food in remote areas to help 100,000 people. And the World Food Programme has difficulty collecting the $76 million they need to face this crisis. And also the Malagasy state hasn't put much money on the table to help this region. And bear in mind that those people have to be helped for months to come because they cannot cultivate, they don't have other source of revenue. So if they are not helped, they are in critical danger of dying.
Gaëlle, as you were speaking to me, I could see in my mind, and I could see sort of on screen the images of the children who are starving. This is a terrible, terrible situation. But there's also something else adding to it, the Dahal phenomenon, making the crisis worse. Police officers talking about criminals who benefit from the situation, politicians even cashing in. Tell us about this Dahal phenomenon.
The main activity of the Dahalu bandits is to steal cattle. And when you're in this illegal business, you have to launder the cattle. You have to make false papers in order to sell them. So you need complicity within the administration. So we have what we call Dahal Ambunla Tabacha in Malagasy, which means white-collar Dahalu. And these are people of power, civil servants who can corrupt the administration, who can pay to get Dahal out of prison. Some law enforcement officers, for example, sell their arms or ammunition to the Dahalu. So this is a massive, well-organized criminal network. And most part of the law enforcement officers who are not in this system are victims, and they are reduced to taking justice into their own hands. And that's what a policeman told us in an interview.
If us police officers shoot at the Dahalo, their rights will be defended. But if we get shot at, we have no rights. That's what's surprising. Human rights can be respected here in Mbazari. What works in Mbazari is killing them as soon as we catch them.
Well, there we have it. Thanks again to Gaëlle Borgia for that report. Gaëlle, keep us up to date with all developments on the situation in Madagascar. Gaëlle, our Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter. This is Reporters on France 24. Do stay with us. Most of all, stay safe.